It's Thursday, March 19th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Could New Brunswick's decision to avoid major budget cuts end up costing taxpayers? Nova Scotia dental clinics struggle with a lack of hygienists and assistants.
A mix of snow and rain in the weekend forecast, with more possible to start next week.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Just when the saga of Dartmouth Cove seemed to have simmered down, proof that it's heating up again. The city refused to let a company infill space it owns along the waterfront. Now it's exerting control, demanding people stay off their property. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness reports.
A new sign greeted residents walking the Harbour Trail in Dartmouth this morning.
Shameful is a nice way of putting what that is.
It was put up by Atlantic Road Construction, citing issues with the Halifax Regional Municipality.
We requested access to the property. The agreement allowed them a trail in exchange for us having access to the property, and HRM put a protection of property order in place, which didn't allow us to access the property any longer.
Company CFO Bruce Wood says the no trespassing order applies to the entire area along the waterfront.
It is private property and there's no trespassing. We expect people to follow the law. We expect HRM to follow the law.
Dartmouth Centre Councillor Sam Austin doesn't agree.
So the shoreline on that side would be private property, so they're within their rights to bar people from that, but they can't bar people from the public trail.
Austin had an idea late last week that something like this was in the works.
Myself and Jill Brogan with Save Dartmouth Cove, we each got lawyer letters on Friday afternoon telling us we were banned from their property, including the Harbour Trail, so I'm not surprised that they're now trying to extend that to the broader public.
It doesn't seem the public is interested in obeying the no trespassing signs.
It's a disrespect to this community. It's a disrespect to Dartmouth as a whole.
The company tried to block public access to Dartmouth Cove back in August of 2024. They put up concrete barriers to keep people out. They were eventually removed following letters from the municipality and Build Nova Scotia. Bruce Wood says the next step is for HRM to grant them the access they've been promised, and if that happens, this sign will come down. Sam Austin believes it's now a matter for the courts. Todd.
No doubt. Thank you, John. Starting us off in Dartmouth. Police say a hacker behind a blackmail attempt on a member of the Nova Scotia legislature was trying to extort Bitcoin. MLA Rick Burns refused to pay up. That's when criminals accessed his devices, then copied and posted intimate pictures and videos of him and his wife. In a statement last night, Burns said to have such intimate images accessed and released is a gross violation of our privacy and is completely unacceptable. This is bigger than me. This is a gross violation of my wife's privacy, and we are both victims of a grotesque crime. The Premier came out in support of Burns. The RCMP is investigating. A well-known musician from the Moncton area is recovering in hospital after a brutal assault over the weekend. CTV's Derek Haggett reached out to his wife today as she stays by her husband's side.
Musician John McLaren was attacked on Main Street late Saturday night after finishing a solo performance at a local bar. He was rushed to hospital with serious injuries. His wife, by his side all week, says he suffered a brain injury but can communicate and is getting better.
Makes you, think about how, how quickly life can change. And you have to, be grateful for every day you have and, be like I never take for granted the times that you have with your loved ones.
Brittany McLaren says her husband knew his attacker. They were former co-workers and past friends. But she doesn't want to say much more about the incident. On Tuesday, police arrested Luke Powers at a downtown Moncton home. The next day, he appeared at Moncton Provincial Court and was charged with aggravated assault. Powers is due back in court tomorrow. The attack has gotten a lot of attention, especially from the music community and his bandmates.
Like the first time I seen him there with the tubes down his throat, he had broken bones in his face. His head was all swollen. It was absolutely horrible seeing him like that.
John's in better shape than I expected, so that's good. He's talking, he's walking, he's annoyed about being in the hospital, which is a good sign of health usually.
An online fundraiser has collected around $30,000 in just a few days. Brittany doesn't know if her husband will be able to play like he did before, but says if anybody can do it, John can. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
New Brunswick's new budget will see millions more spent on health care, but it will also see millions more spent on servicing the province's growing debt. Money that can't be spent on services for taxpayers. CTV's Nick Moore reports.
New Brunswick taxpayers are going to pay $860 million this year just to pay interest on the provincial debt. That is $120 million more than last year.
And when you break that down for every New Brunswicker, that's $1,000 per person.
The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says this provincial budget is only pushing more problems down the road.
Essentially, for the first $1,000 in taxes every New Brunswicker pays, it's just being used to service existing government debt rather than being paid, towards infrastructure, towards healthcare, or being returned to New Brunswickers in the form of tax relief.
Creditors are also making note of Tuesday's budget, which increases the net debt by 42% over the next 3 years. Morningstar, the fourth largest credit ratings agency in the world, says New Brunswick's rating will stay at A or high for now.
But we will be closely watching. At this time, we do think that there is still remaining flexibility within the current credit rating, but we are also cognizant and acknowledging of the fact that there is less room available now.
Today, the official opposition presented its response to the budget in the legislature, saying the Liberals have undone financial progress made under former PC Premier Blaine Higgs.
Today, families are being forced to shoulder dramatically higher costs, not for better services, not for improved outcomes, but simply to pay interest to banks.
Finance Minister Renee Legacy says this week's budget is laying the foundation for difficult decisions to come.
There's nothing that stops us from finding cuts mid-year. It doesn't have to be done once a year. I mean, we could certainly find more spending so we can find more cuts.
Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
And online, what are farmers to do now that New Brunswick is shuttering its veterinary field and lab service? We have a report at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A lack of hygienists and assistants is taking a bite out of dental practices across Nova Scotia. Dentists are working longer and doing more while the number of job openings piles up. CTV's Vanessa Wright visited a clinic in the Annapolis Valley today.
Dr. Erin Hennessy has owned this dentistry in the heart of Wolfville for nearly 20 years. But for the first time in a long time, she admits she's tired. The problem isn't the job, but a lack of help.
Most dentists right now would tell you the thing that keeps them up at night is not the teeth, it's the HR, it's the staffing shortages.
With only one full-time dental hygienist, she's had to take on other roles.
And a dental office is only as good as its team. So I can be the greatest dentist in the world, but if I don't have a team that can support me to do what I can do, it grinds to a halt.
Her situation isn't unique. Dentistries across the country are battling staffing shortages, especially in rural communities.
We just cannot seem to get even dentists, believe it or not, but assistants and hygienists, unless they live in that community, to drag them from somewhere else to relocate to a new place in a rural area has been the supreme challenge. It's so difficult.
Right now in Nova Scotia, there are 35 dental offices in need of assistance and 60 in need of hygienists. The situation so dire, a dental job fair was created in hopes to bring more people to the profession.
Part of the problem is people don't realize these careers exist and they can be very rewarding. So I think the bigger part of this event is to try to get people interested in careers in dentistry.
Meanwhile, Hennessy says her dental office has been forced to turn away new patients every week.
It does keep you up at night because if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, it gets harder and harder every day to put the smile on your face and get out of bed.
Tough to hear from someone who is devoted to fixing smiles. every day. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Wolfville, Nova Scotia.
Here's a live look at the Petitcodiac River right now, Moncton towards Dieppe, where it's currently 1 degree. Let's bring in CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell for a look at the forecast. You're going to start with some current temperatures.
Yeah, that's right, because I figured, hey, this is the last evening of winter, right? We got the spring equinox coming up tomorrow morning at 11:46 a.m. We talked about that in the show yesterday. So temperatures right now across the region, they're on the chilly side. They're mostly in the range of a few degrees below to a few degrees above the freezing mark. A little bit colder than that for some of the northernmost areas of New Brunswick. Charlotte right now coming in at around -4. It's going to still be a colder night for the middle of March, at least compared to averages, but not quite as cold as the last couple of nights were. There is a little bit of a breezy wind around. It's variable in direction around the Maritimes, kind of blowing in out of the north around Fredericton right now, but up from the south and around St. John. For Charlottetown, it's out of the southeast at the moment, and for Nova Scotia, most of the winds out of the east and southeast. In a lot of cases, though, now they're being sustained between around 5 and 15 kilometers per hour, with a few exceptions, few areas where the winds are closer to 20. Wind gusts have been diminishing, continue to diminish as we make our way through this evening. Taking a look at things on radar and satellite, we do have some scattered light flurries around central areas of Nova Scotia. Those moved in off the Atlantic. Some more flurries on the way during the overnight hours for parts of New Brunswick. And then looking forward to Friday night into Saturday, there's a mixture of some snow and rain that's going to be moving into the Maritimes. It's because of a fast-moving clipper system right now that's making its way through southern parts of the prairies. So when I come back, we'll talk about the potential snow. I guess it'd be our first spring snow from that weather system, and maybe a bigger one coming up for the start of next week, and those details in the extended forecast a little bit later on, Todd.
No, it's impossible because you told me it's spring.
You wish.
We'll see you a little later. Thanks for that. A home has been extensively damaged by fire. Happened in Moncton today. It started in the mid-afternoon at a home on Leaside Drive. 2 people were inside the home at the time, but got out safely. Firefighters took about 45 minutes to put out the blaze. The cause of this fire remains under investigation at this hour. A large section of one of the busiest roads in Cape Breton was closed for hours today after a multi-vehicle collision. Grand Lake Road, the main artery between Sydney and Glace Bay, was blocked for several kilometers between Kites Hill subdivision and the Gardner Road. Traffic was rerouted. Cape Breton Regional Police say 4 people were injured, with 1 airlifted to hospital in Halifax, adding that 4 vehicles were involved. 3 were totally wrecked. The road was reopened in the early afternoon. It's been in the making for years, with promises to bring thousands of housing units to Dartmouth and change the skyline. Now it's closer to becoming reality. CTV's Callum Smith joins us to break down the future of Micmac Mall and the area around it. These are big changes, Callum.
Yeah, no question, Todd. The future is certainly dense for Micmac Mall, or the M District Future Growth Node, as it's referred to by the city. Proponents say it will transform a parking-dominated mall location into a mixed-use, transit-oriented, pedestrian-first neighborhood. This is what the future could look like at the site. Plans for 7 residential towers, up to 40 stories, supporting 2,800 housing units, where before City Councilors last week, the tallest buildings will be near the highway. City Council greenlit planning and bylaw changes to support the massive development and reached an agreement with one of 2 developers looking to see it all come to life. 8,600 people are expected to move into the area in the long term. Too much, say some locals like Doug Rose.
I'm not against development. I think developing this site is a good thing to do. There's a lot of wasted space. However, I do believe this project is too large for the environment it's meant to fit into.
Underground parking and a new parking structure will be developed, since much of the surface parking that currently exists will be taken up. There will be an increase of over 2,000 parking spaces by the end, but that will support both tenants and mall goers. As well, a new transit terminal replacing the existing bus stop, coming at a cost of $5.8 million. Open public spaces and a new municipal park are coming as well, but some councillors argued there wasn't enough green space or recreation space. Now, as mentioned, the initial plan is for 2,800 units, but changes passed by council would support up to 4,600 housing units. While the development timeline is unclear, what we do know is that the project will happen in stages, starting with a 13-story addition to the mall, including that parking structure, office space, and family entertainment, as well as a 17-story, 400-bed special care home. Todd.
Significant indeed. Callum, thank you. In the newsroom with us this evening. Police have seized the equivalent of more than 1.6 million illegal cigarettes near Amherst. This is the van RCMP pulled over last weekend on Highway 104. Upon inspection, officers found 163 cases of illegal tobacco in the vehicle with Ontario plates. The driver, a 69-year-old woman from Lower Sackville, was arrested and charged. This is the second major seizure of tobacco from a vehicle in a week. One of Halifax's best-known tourism operators has a new owner. If you've ever been on the Harbour Hopper, there it is, those pink double-decker buses, or sailed the tall ship Silva, you'll know Ambassador's Grey Line. Well, it's been sold to one of the company's longest-standing shareholders. The Harbour Hoppers, 3 passenger vessels and sightseeing tours are all part of the deal. Founder Dennis Campbell will stay on, in the short term at least, as an advisor. Closing arguments were made today in the charter challenge of Nova Scotia's province-wide forest ban, with the focus narrowing in on how far government can go in limiting freedom of movement when public safety is concerned. CTV's Jesse Thomas attended the trial.
How far is too far during a crisis? That's the question before the courts, as Cape Bretonner Jeff Evely and lawyers for the Canadian Constitution Foundation argue the Nova Scotia government went too far last summer when they imposed a blanket ban for entering the woods.
This isn't really about me going hiking. This is about the future. And like I said previously, this is about the kind of country that we want to leave for our children and grandchildren.
Evely's lawyers argued the province failed to consider charter rights, including freedom of movement, calling the ban overly broad and punitive.
The concept that the government provided in this case was to say that human presence itself is a proxy for fire risk. In other words, people are the problem. And that is not a rational argument. Not a rational argument in a free society. It's certainly not rational in Nova Scotia, where, Nova Scotians are some of the kindest and most rule-following Canadians you're going to meet.
The province argued the forest ban was reasonable given the extreme wildfire risk, drought conditions, and a lack of rain in the forecast at the time. The government's lawyer told the court the Minister of Natural Resources relied on expert advice from the department and acted within his authority to impose a temporary ban, arguing the greatest wildfire threat came from humans in the woods. Evely deliberately went into the woods near a DNR office last August and was fined nearly $29,000, a ticket he wanted to challenge in court, saying he didn't want to see a ban like this again during the next wildfire season.
There were plenty of measures that they could have put in place before getting all the way to an outright ban of all humans from the woods.
The judge has reserved his decision in a case that could have an impact on where the line is set between public safety and personal freedom. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
We're going to go to neighboring Newfoundland, where a family on the Avalon Peninsula was shocked to see a new house being built on land taken from them 14 years ago. They say their house was acquired by the government for highway construction that never got built. CTV's Garrett Barry has the story.
Old wounds are being torn open again for the Stapleton family in Conception Bay South.
It's your security. Like, that was our home.
More than a decade ago, they were rushed out of their beloved family home when the provincial government said they needed the land for highway construction. Given just weeks to take all of their belongings and go before the house was ripped to pieces.
How do you just take that? How do you just meddle with somebody's life like that and just kick them out of their own houses?
They took as much as they could from that old house, even a piece of drywall. But their heartbreak was renewed this month when Cindy Stapleton saw a brand new house being constructed on land they never wanted to leave.
Like, to this day, I still remember like how cozy the house was. Like, it'll never compare to here.
From what Stapleton can tell, a neighbor of hers bought a piece of her old property from the provincial government and then later sold their land to a developer. That's why there are new walls going up here. Stapleton says she's not upset with neighbors or the developers, but she would just have liked the chance to buy back her family home.
You've got to be kidding. Like, that was ours. And it was never offered back to us.
It's too late for Stapleton now, but in a statement, the province said it's going to write a new policy. Going forward, land like this will be sold at public tender, and former owners will be given courtesy notice. Garrett Berry, CTV News in Conception Bay South, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Time for us to take our first break of the night. Still ahead, Kaylin has details of a chilly evening ahead and a look towards the weekend. First, though, what to do about bumper-to-bumper tourists in Banff. We're back after this. Maritimers avoiding travel to the U.S. are looking across the country for holiday options. Banff, always high on the list. Canada's first national park is seeing a surge of visitors, domestic and international, and that has officials scrambling to manage the mayhem. More now from CTV's Tyler Barrow.
A damp day in March still has people making their way to Banff, and it is living up to its name.
I've been to Switzerland, I've been to Italy. This tops everything. It's just the mountains, it feels like bigger than life.
I just got here a couple days ago and I absolutely love it. I texted my parents today saying I don't want to leave.
Both international visitors, both in love with the Rockies. Here at the Parks Canada Annual Forum, experts and officials know the visitor volume isn't slowing down.
It's not going to go away. People will continue to want to visit Banff National Park,
which is top of mind among park stakeholders. While over 4 million people visit Banff National Park every year, this linked to more vehicles on Banff's roads and crowding. Banff Mayor Corey DeMano highlighted the need to work with parks to prevent traffic congestion.
Coming up with a more comprehensive and cohesive transportation plan of how to move people sustainably through the park.
She hopes paid parking at the base of the Sulphur Mountain Gondola and hot poles beginning in May will help deter drivers and encourage public transportation. Volume is only expected to go up in Banff and Lake Louise with the return of the federal government's Canada Strong Pass this summer, which allows free access for everyone to national parks.
The Carnival's on, and it's going to be a problem.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump introduced a $100 fee for foreign tourists in January to enter 11 of the country's most popular national parks, including the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone. Keeling questions if the Canada Strong Pass should be limited to Canadians.
Being completely free for everyone, which creates a boatload of more vehicle traffic, that's a big problem.
The pass runs this summer from June 19th to September 7th. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Banff.
Up next, it remains on the chilly side with a few flurries expected for us overnight. Some scattered flurries, bit of snow for Friday. Kalen has the details after this. Emma Convey showed us some of the waterlogged spots around Truro yesterday. Well, it's a much different scene today after a couple days of keeping a wary eye on the water levels, especially around the Park Street area. Those waters seem to have receded quite a bit. Still a lot of icy water on nearby fields, but some streets that were closed yesterday have reopened. That's the good news. Shoulders on a few streets seem to have had a bit of damage, but you know, you're going to get that this time of year. But
yeah, it's tricky this time of year when it comes to heavy rain events because, of course, the ground is still frozen in some cases, so that leads to more water runoff. In some cases, there's some snow and some ice melt added to it, and then there's maybe some snow and some ice still present in parts of the river, streams and tributaries as well, which can cause ice jams and that water to overflow in some areas. Riverwatch New Brunswick's program is active, and that'll be something we continue to monitor as they continue into the freshet in that province.
I have a feeling we'll be talking more about that in the weeks to come.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about something possibly significant in the day.
Yes, so we're moving into spring, and we have some spring snow in the forecast, which, of course, is not uncommon for us here in the Maritimes, especially still in the month of March. Let's take a look at the first round coming in.
Doesn't mean we have to like it.
Grumbling about maybe a possible little bit more snow shoveling there. Flurries, that's what's around New Brunswick to start the day for tomorrow. Not much is expected out of those flurries, in some cases maybe around a centimeter or two. By the time we get to the afternoon, those flurries are much more spotty where they're coming down. There's a very low chance in the afternoon around parts of PEI, parts of the north and west of Nova Scotia. Still, maybe a lingering chance of a few flurries in the east of New Brunswick. Now, behind that, we have this approaching clipper system kind of speeding its way out of the west, and that's going to bring in snow to New Brunswick as we move through Friday evening and Friday night. You can see that developing here in through the blues, potentially mixing with or turning over to some rain or freezing rain for southern parts of that province. This weather system as well is expected to bring in some snow to parts of Prince Edward Island and areas of Nova Scotia. Though for Nova Scotia, even during the night, that snow is expected to mix with or turn over to some rain for parts of the mainland. And then heading into Saturday morning, this weather system begins to move out, but there could still be some snow falling and accumulating for some areas, including around Prince Edward Island, eastern areas of Nova Scotia, to start the day on Saturday before that system continues off towards the northeast. Now, how much snow are we talking about out of that clipper system? In most cases, because that snow is expected to be wet and compact, and in some cases mixed in with some rain or a little bit of freezing rain, it looks like amounts will total around 1 to 5 centimeters. Now, it is possible that some of the higher terrain, maybe around northern areas of New Brunswick, Cumberland, Colchester counties in Nova Scotia, certainly up the Cape Breton Highlands, could pick up at least some pockets of some snowfall amounts that might be a little bit more than 5 centimeters. Remember, though, it doesn't take all that much accumulation down on surfaces such as the roads to make things a little bit slick. Now, low temperatures in the forecast for tonight around the Maritimes will still be on the colder side. They'll be falling a few to several degrees below zero, some down to around -7 in northern areas of New Brunswick, the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia. Colder tonight, down to around -7. Parts of the North Shore, including New Glasgow and Antigonish, could be as cold as -8. Prince Edward Island tonight, most of the low temperatures between -3 and -5. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow, though, following the morning flurries, the sun may break through a little bit for New Brunswick, and in the north of the province, the highs come up between 1 and 4 degrees. Central and southern areas, New Brunswick for tomorrow with high temperatures between 4 and 7. For Prince Edward Island, the high temperatures between 2 and 5 degrees on Friday. In Cape Breton, the high temperatures mostly between 1 and 4 degrees, and around the low to mid single digits for both the eastern shore and north shore of Nova Scotia. In northern and central parts of the province, the high temperatures, again, 3 to 5 degrees. And for the Annapolis Valley for tomorrow, after a cold start to the day, high temperatures come up to around +6, near 2 for Digby. And on the south shore of Nova Scotia, most of the high temperatures between 3 and 5. So that clipper system arrives Friday night into the first part of Saturday. Maybe brings a little bit of snow to the region. There's a potential for a more impactful spring snow event at the start of next week. And this weather system starts as a low-pressure system making its way to the northeastern U.S. And it may already, as early as Sunday evening and Sunday night, push an initial round of snow, ice pellets, and rain into the Maritimes. But then, as that low moves to a position just south of the region, for Monday, we may see some parts of the Maritimes continue with a mixture of snow, ice pellets, and rain. And because of that, because of being a little bit of a longer duration weather event, there's a higher chance that parts of the region could pick up some snowfall amounts, up to or in excess of 10 or even 15 centimeters. So we need to keep tabs on that part of the forecast Sunday night through Monday in the Maritimes as that next weather system moves through. After that, it's for New Brunswick, it's a mix of sun and cloud for Tuesday, a chance of flurries on Wednesday, and Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, we've got that initial clipper system bringing that mixture of snow and rain through on Saturday. Sunday, increasing cloudiness, but then snow or wintry mix starting Sunday night, but maybe ongoing through the day on Monday. A mix of sun and cloud follows for Tuesday, a chance of flurries on Wednesday of next week, and Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud. And for Prince Edward Island in the outlook, that initially lighter mixture of snow and rain moving through on Saturday. And then the next one coming in late Sunday night, but maybe ongoing through the day on Monday is a wintry mix of weather. Mix of sun and cloud follows on Tuesday, a chance of flurries on Wednesday, and a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday of next week, Todd.
Okay, thank you, Kalen. Next, we'll hear if Maritimes are able to put money aside before tax time. And we have this on the scene.
Hi, it's Rob Wells, and we're on the set of Season 3 of The Trades, and we're going to tell you all about it coming up.
Okay, so coming up tomorrow, we're giving you a chance to win that $250 gift card to St. Louis Bar and Grill. Good luck.
And we will have another chance for you to win tickets to see Jonas with the Arkells in Moncton. That's tomorrow.
Okay, I don't mean to scare you. It's almost tax season, right? That can be a stressful time for Canadians as the deadline nears. A new survey by maritime-based Narrative Research asked people about their tax burden, their savings. Margaret Chapman is a partner at Narrative, and she joins us from Halifax. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
In the office today. Sometimes we get you in the studio, we've got you in the office.
In the office.
We hear every day just how tough it is for people just to stay on top of their daily bills. This is something I know that you guys track on a regular basis. You did a big report back in July, I believe, that we talked about at the time. This time, with this, you were asking participants if they were able to put money into RRSPs for tax season. What did you find?
So just a third of Canadians made an RSP contribution last year. So that's 34% across the country. And it really varies by income level. So we found really acute differences by household income on that question particularly.
Which wouldn't be that surprising, I guess, right? The idea is if you got more money, presumably you're able to put more away. And I guess the impact of that is when it comes time to retire, we've got a troublesome picture developing.
Yeah, it tends to start to, cleave society in a way when people with lower household incomes are less able to make RSP contributions. So only 16% of people with lower household incomes of $60,000 or less were able to make those RRSP contributions last year, which means, there's just fewer savings for those folks into retirement, whereas people with $100,000 or more are much more likely to have made those RSP contributions.
What about when it comes to age groups?
What you want to do is take on debt.
I guess we assume that the younger people are having a harder time, but is that in fact the case?
Well, for RSP contributions particularly, it's younger people who are making those. So it's really good to see that part actually, because the over 55s probably are either retired or they're less likely to have to make those larger contributions. It's the younger age groups who are more likely to have told us that they made RSP contributions last year.
Well, that's encouraging. What about year round? I mean, we were focusing on tax season, and I know a number of people tend to look at the calendar and they go, well, I should get something in there before, before the deadline. But looking at the rest of the year, a lot of folks like to try to save year round.
Yeah, we found some really big differences, actually. It's kind of interesting. So 63% of Canadians told us that they regularly make contributions to a savings account, not necessarily a registered account. And that tells us that there's a big gulf, actually, that people are saving for a rainy day, but not necessarily saving for retirement. And a lot of people are doing that across age groups, across income levels. But again, we do see quite a divide by income, where fewer people in the lower income are making those regular contributions to savings, and people in the higher household income groups are much more likely to say, I'm always making those contributions throughout the year. And the other thing about those kinds of savings is they're more liquid, so people are able to access them for those rainy day situations, whereas RSPs are obviously more protected.
Did they give you any indication about how they're feeling overall about their level of savings?
Well, we asked a follow-up question around how many months people would be able to survive, cover their expenses if they ran into trouble, if they lost their job or their financial circumstances changed. Yeah. And a lot of people, so even though they're able to contribute to a savings account, it may not be huge. It might not be able to cover them for a long time. But there's about a third of the population that say I could last a year or more, so a really long time, a big nest egg. There's only a few people, 1 in 10, that say my savings aren't very big. They could last me less than a month. And then there's a pretty big group in the middle that say anywhere from 1 month up to 12 months. So about 2 in 10 for each kind of category. 2 in 10 say 1 to 3 months. 2 in 10 say about 3 to 6 months I could survive without an income. And another 2 in 10 say between half a year and a year. So there's really a big spectrum of savings amounts.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the cost of living again, because I know you've been looking at numbers on this. In the Maritimes, what are you hearing of late?
In terms of cost of living?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on people's minds hugely, and we know that this is largely because of the inflation that we're feeling on food prices, particularly, and in the last little while, it's gas prices, of course, as well. And there's this effect of those daily kinds of expenses having a big impact on our views of cost of living. So because we're going to the grocery store regularly, and last year in the Maritime provinces, we had 9% inflation on food. So it was far above the Canadian average of 5%. So we, because we don't produce as much food in our area and we have to transport it in. So we're reminded very regularly of the high cost of food. And that's really impinging on our ability to save it, and it's making us feel like life is expensive.
Yeah.
And I will say the results on savings we're talking about are national. In our region, there is actually a lower number of people actually able to make those regular savings.
And a lot of it probably, no doubt, has to do with the fact that they're spending more at the grocery store and places like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just half of our population here are able to make those regular contributions to savings compared to 2/3 of the country at large.
Those are some sobering numbers. Margaret Chapman, thank you very much. We always appreciate your insight on these things.
Happy to do it. Thanks so much.
We'll take a time out. We'll be back with much more in 2 minutes. To health headlines now. New research on the risk of heart failure. Plus, detecting Alzheimer's might be as simple as using a nasal swab. CTV's Suzette Belvo of the Lifeline.
Extra belly fat may be a stronger indicator of heart failure than BMI. That's according to new research presented at an American Heart Association event this week. The study found that inflammation is a key factor in the correlation between excess fat and heart failure. It also stated people with excess belly fat could still face a higher risk even if their body mass index is in a healthy range. Researchers say reducing systemic inflammation could reduce the risk of heart failure. This payphone sitting inside a senior's home provides an instant connection to a lonely person from another generation.
And it felt kind of exciting to talk to somebody that wasn't right here.
The pilot project, Call a Zoomer, lets seniors pick up the phone and ring a coffee shop on a college campus in Boston. Matter Neuroscience invented the idea to fight loneliness. The project aims to connect people, boost dopamine, and lower stress. Data suggests seniors and Gen Z folks alike, or Zoomers, are the loneliest demographic groups. Can detecting Alzheimer's be as simple as using a nasal swab? New research this week out of Duke University seems to point to yes. A team of doctors and scientists has been using a small brush to reach the back of a patient's nose in an area near the brain. The cell tissue is then analyzed for early signs of the disease.
The act of taking the swab or biopsy is pretty easy, and the analysis that we've been able to do on these biopsies does show that changes are definitely detectable early.
Drugs approved in recent years have been shown to help slow the progression of Alzheimer's, but they are most effective when started in early stages. With health and medical news, I'm Suzette Belliveau for The Lifeline.
Time for the scene now. In season 3 of The Trades is about to premiere on Crave. The series was filmed mostly in Nova Scotia. And CTV's Katie Kelly, before she went on parental leave, got some time on the set.
Congrats. You get to swing the axe today. It's your first official layoff as general foreman.
Well, that was a fun little 180.
A brand new season of Canadian comedy series The Trades is about to drop on Crave.
Everyone panic!
The show follows blue-collar tradespeople and everyday scenarios they might deal with on the job.
Drink all those beers, boys, or you're fired.
Last fall, we went behind the scenes as the cast worked on season 3.
Yes, I'm super pumped. I love it. This is like a family. It really, really is a family. And I love playing Audrey. She's really fun.
Very excited. Yeah, it's amazing. We got such a great cast and crew and some good storylines this year.
Are you going to wear that on your lunch date?
Yeah, that's my lucky shirt.
Rob Wells is back as pipefitter Todd Golden Arm Stool.
You got this.
Best known to many fans as Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys.
It is nice to do something different, and I love the show. I thought Ryan Lindsay, the creator and one of the writers, just did an amazing job. It's a great backdrop, colorful characters, and we're always laughing our heads off on set.
Amazing. All right, let's cut.
The cast say season 3 digs even deeper into the characters.
Lots of shenanigans at the workplace, you know, as per usual. But what's great about this season, too, is we have a lot of off-hours stuff, which I really like. We get to see into the characters' personal lives a little more.
Okay, I'll distract him. You got to get out of here.
And that means new drama, new relationships, and plenty of laughs.
Audrey is taking her job as carpenter more seriously, but she's also sleeping with someone. Spoiler alert, won't tell you who, but it does end in drama.
My sister and my best friend are kind of hooking up behind my back, so there's a little bit of, it's building, and it comes to a climax in the last episode. I'll leave it at that.
Let's try it again.
And for Wells, filming at home is always a bonus.
It's always been, really important to us. We're proud Maritimers and Nova Scotians, and to stay here and be able to film it here.
I just love it here so much. I would seriously move here if I could. I just love it. Like, the people are just so great. Maritimer hospitality is a real thing, and just the air and the ocean, and yeah, I love it.
And audiences, especially trades workers, have embraced the show's humor and realism.
I mean, I've been blown away with the response. It's, especially walking through airports and stuff, you always get a little bit of the Ricky from TPB, but there's been a lot of, especially blue-collar workers saying they love the trades and can't wait for the next season, and it's just a really good feeling overall.
Season 3 of The Trades begins streaming on Crave March 20th.
Yes, yes, yeah!
And speaking of local television, Netflix is set to begin production on a new 10-episode series on Prince Edward Island. Now, this is based on This Summer Will Be Different. That's a romance novel about an Upper Canadian on her annual visit to the island who falls in love with her best friend's brother. The book was written by Carly Fortune, so look out for that. Meanwhile, here's what's on CTV tonight.
With Aaron and Peter. Win your share of $10,000 with Aaron and Peter's payroll.
Register now at move100halifax.ca and listen for your name starting at 8 a.m.
We don't have a market report tonight. You can always go to bnmbloomberg.ca for the numbers and business headlines. So here we are, Kalen, outside on the deck. Certainly bright.
Yes, your evening weather deck report. Still with you. It is bright. It is chilly. There's a few clouds around. There'll be some increasing cloudiness for the region for tonight. There'll be some flurries developing overnight into the start of the day tomorrow for New Brunswick. Let's take a look at your picture for tonight. Oh, this is a great one. This is coming in from Cape Jack in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. We've got the blue sky. We've got some of the sea ice there around the coast, and we can see the fields as well. I want to thank Rob Rouse very much for sharing that beautiful view with us. Cape Jack for tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud. High temperature near 3 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow in the Maritimes. It is flurries for the province of New Brunswick. Morning temperatures around the region, a few to several degrees below zero. As for the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud for the Maritimes and a low chance of flurries. They'll be very spotty in their coverage. Let's find out what's coming up on Your Morning Atlantic.
Friday on Your Morning Atlantic, a return to Sullivan's Crossing. The hit CTV show is back for a 4th season. We'll chat with the stars Morgan Cohen and Chad Michael Murray. Start your morning with us Friday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
And then at 6, what's the value of an education in the arts? Well, a British economist has put a dollar figure on it. He'll be our guest. I'll be in Moncton to speak with him tomorrow night on CTV News at 6. We're also live on Crave. And finally, for us tonight, have you ever heard of the term playing possum? Well, that's exactly what some folks down under got. There was a furry surprise for some Australian travelers. A wild possum was found sitting among a bunch of stuffed animals at a gift shop in Tasmania's Hobart Airport. A passerby recorded the marsupial that was described by an airport employee as, quote, pretty comfortable with his friends in there. The possum later left the shop, just kind of wandered around the airport for a while. Look at that. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco will be here at 11:30 with the update, and CTV News Atlantic.ca and the CTV app have our news anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you tomorrow night. I'll be in Moncton. Bruce will be here. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.